Hello, welcome to today's tutorial. So today's tutorial is for advanced students, and you can actually catch up if you watch my other beginners video. So I already drafted out my basic block for this tutorial, so you should be able to draft. As I said, is for advanced, so I've drafted out both the front and the back. You can check my other tutorials so that you can understand how we got to those points. So now I already marked all of my lines. For the back, that is my center point, and that is my shoulder slope, and I came down by 1 inch, just the normal way that we drafted. So my shoulder is 18 inches, so I marked everything, and I put my quarter measurement of my bust on my chest line, and that is my waistline, and I came in by 0.5 for on the waistline to prevent a bulge, normal way that we draft our basic block. Okay, then that is the full length. So for the front and the full length, the waist, the under bust, I'm just trying to write it out again so that in case it is not visible. So that's the bust point, and that is the chest line. So that line is my cleavage point, where I want the cleavage to start from. So this is totally dependent on you. I came up by 2 inches from my chest line from my cleavage, so you can do whatever you want for yours depending on how deep you want your cleavage to be or where you want your cleavage to start. So it's as simple as that. Just draft out your basic pattern. That is what we did for bustier or for corset. This is the lines that you need, and that's exactly what I did. So now let us move over to what we have for today. So now I am placing my bust span, that is nipple to nipple measurement, half of it on my waistline. So I'm going to mark the same thing on the cleavage line, which is 7 inches. So if you're dividing into two, that's 3.5. So I marked 3.5 from the center front, and I marked the same line on the cleavage line, and I connected it like so. Just watch what I'm going to do. They're going to be like technicalities. So that's why I said there's some technical, but as I said, this is for advanced. This is for advanced students. So now on my full length line, I came in by 1.5 inches. Remember that the front part of this is curved. Okay, that is where we are going. Like, instead of marking this bust span straight down, so you're going to curve it just like that. You can use between 1.5 to 2 inches so that's to achieve that point. If you check, I'm going to put the picture, you can see the way it is looking. So we need to achieve that. That was why I did that. So you can, for your dart line, you can use between, it depends on the size. I always mention depend on the size. For this, from size 16, from like 12 to and above, you can use 0.75 on both sides. That is 1.5 for your dart opening to 1 inch. Okay, for smaller size you can use 0.5. so I'm going to connect it. Just watch the way I am connecting. So it's very simple. Just watch. You can see the way I connected it to the length, and that is what you're going to do as well. This is actually very simple. Just follow every step that I'm doing, and you're going to come out with the perfect results that I came out with, and even better. So now I'm going to repeat that same line on the cleavage line. Okay, or you can reduce it, or you can still reduce it. Like I said, this is optional, but if you follow what I'm doing, you can just go ahead and do this. So instead of coming out on both line by, so you can just come out, just to prevent gaping, how we prevent gaping on the chest line. Okay, so you can come in by 0.5 or 0.75. You can use that same measurements that you used to open up your dart on the waistline, just to prevent gaping, so that everything is going to lay flat on your chest, and there is not going to be opening on your chest area. So that is why we put that on that part, to prevent gaping. Okay, so after doing that, after doing that, the next thing is for you to just connect the lines. So if you follow this step, you're going to see that you're going to come out with good result. Okay, so after measuring, so now you need to get your curves. So we are going to be connecting it to our bust point, just as we usually do. Like I said, this is for advanced, so you should know how to draft your bustier, how to draft your corset, you understand? So you just connect it like so to your bust point. Then the lines of your gaping, to close your gaping, you're going to connect it. Just watch the way I'm connecting it. This shouldn't be strange to you as an advanced student or intermediate student. Okay, so you just connect it also to your bust points, just like you see me do. So I'm just going to do that quietly, and then we move on to the next thing. If you've gotten to this point and you're yet to subscribe, please make sure you do so. Subscribe, share, like. If you have any question as regards this tutorial, drop it in the comment section. If you want me to work on other tutorials, also drop it in the comment section as well. So I already connected everything. You can see that it is forming what it's supposed to form. It's coming out the shape. So now the next thing is to put my measurement on my horizontal measurement on the lines. Okay, like your waist measurement, your waist circumference, your bust circumference, the under bust circumference. So that is the lines that I'm going to be putting on all this. So now on the waist circumference, we are going to be putting quarter of our waist measurement, quarter of your whatever your waist circumference is divided into 4, then you place it on it. Then you're going to add your dart measurement to it as well. So let's say your waist circumference is 28, so 28 divided by 4 is 7. So remember 1.5 inches for a dart, so you add 1.5, so that means you're going to be marking 8.5 on that line. So I'm going to do the same thing for the bust point, the bust circumference, which I'm going to put on chest line. So I put the quarter of it there, and on the full length, the length of the top, I'm going to be putting quarter of the hip measurement. Okay, so we're going to be putting quarter of the hip measurement, just like you see me do, and you just put it, just see what I am doing. So quarter of your hip measurement, you put it on that line as well, and you mark it like so. So after marking it, the next thing is to connect all of the lines before we move over to the next thing. So before you do that, I'm going to be placing the quarter of my under bust as well. Then I'm going to mark what I have there. So I'm going to have, which is 1.5. So I'm going to add it to the measurement, just the same way we did for the waistline. So you put quarter of your under bust measurements plus the dart intake that you took there. So you mark it, then you connect everything together. So just go ahead to connect it. This is very simple and easy to follow. Just watch what I am doing. So the main part is this drafting. So once you get the drafting, and the other, as I say, is for advanced. So you're familiar with joining your corset, you're familiar with joining your bustier, so you just join it yourself together. So the main part is this drafting, which I am showing you. Okay, and that is our main focus for this tutorial. So you can see that our pattern is coming to life. Okay, so now the next thing is to work on the back. Remember, I love working on the back and front simultaneously while drafting. So I'm putting my bust pan to get our dart measurement. Remember, our bust pan is 3.5 on fold, so that is what I am marking, and I'm just going to connect the lines all together like so. So I'm also going to be opening it on the waistline by 0.75, so that is 1.5 on both sides. So 0.75 on both sides, and that is 1.5. So I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to connect it just this way we connect our dots. There is no complicated anything about this part. So you do that and then you connect it together. So if you are confused about any part, you can just go ahead and just go back to the video from the beginning so that you are not lost or confused. And if you still do not get any parts, you can just put it in the comment section. So I'm just going to connect everything together just like you see me do. So now the next thing is to place the cutter of our horizontal measurements. So cutter of your waist, cutter of your chest line, cutter of your hip line. So you're going to put everything together just like you see me do, and you connect. So I just wanted to give it a bit of curve. That is why I'm doing it like the way I'm doing. Okay, so remember that the back is usually shorter than the front because of the bust here. So the difference between the waistline for the back and the front is 2 inches. So that means our back is going to be 2 inches shorter than our front. So we are going to put on the bust dart like so. So when we close it, the side is going to match together, just the same way we do our bust dart. Okay, so now we are going to divide the remaining part on the waistline by 2. Okay, because we are following the templates that we are following. You can see the way it came out, that slanted position. So that is what we are trying to achieve as well. So you are going to divide what you have left into 2 on your waistline, like from the dart leg to the side front. So you mark what you have, then you connect to the upper part. You're just using that part as a template, so you can always adjust. It might not work like that center part, so but we're just using it as a compass, you understand? So you mark it to the chest line. So let's say like one inch away from your side front. So you mark it to that point, 1 to 1.5 inches. You can see the way I marked it. So now the next thing is to get the slanted part. So you're going to come down by 2 inches. This is totally optional. You can increase yours. Okay, then for the side front, I'm going to come up by 2 inches. So the center front, I came down by 2 inches, and the side front, I came up by 2 inches. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to give it that shape that you are seeing on the model that we are working with. So I'm just trying to work with a broken line first, so as to get the shape that I desire before I go ahead to reinforce what I have. So you can just do yours as well like this, and you can make it deeper if you want the slanted part to be more defined, you understand? So you can make it more deeper. It is totally optional and up to you. Okay, so you can see that this is coming out well and it's coming out good. So I'm going to extend the dart line. I'm just going to extend it down like so. So now the other part, to get our slanty shape so that everything is going to come towards the center front. So I'm just trying to get the line that I desire. So you can see I moved away from that line that I initially drew. Like I said, that is just like a template, you understand? So now I'm going to snatch my waist by ½ inch on both sides. So that means I'm subtracting 2 inches from the front side. So I'm marking 0.5 on both sides of the darts for the front. So 0.5 on both sides of the dart. I remember that is on fold, so that means 1 inch on one side, 1 inch on one side. So I'm removing 2 inches from the front waistline. Yeah, I'm snatching it by 2 inches for the front waistline. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to connect the dart leg together, just like you see me do. This is actually very simple. Just watch what I'm doing and just follow the steps that I am taking. So once you close the bust dart, any part that needs adjustment or realignment, you can always go ahead to do that. So you can see that this is coming to life and coming to shape. I love pattern drafting. This is looking good. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the same thing for the back as well, but for the back, instead of removing 2 inches, I'm going to be removing 1 inch because I don't want it to be too snatched, you understand? So I'm going to be, instead of 0.5 on both sides, I'm going to be removing 0.25 on both sides. So that's half inch for one side, half inch on the other side. So that is 1 inch. So in total, I'm snatching my waist by 3 inches. So I'm subtracting 3 inches for my waistline. So you can do this or you can choose not to do it. It is totally optional. So I'm going to be coming up by 2 inches by the side as well, so as to match the side of the front. And I don't want the center back to be the same as the center front. So that is why I'm not coming down from the center back by 2 inches. You can decide to do yours like that, or you can decide to alter it. So now let's work on the loop. So on this chest line, I came in by 2.5, while on the top length, I'm coming out by 1.5. So I'm going to be cutting out that part. So I want the loop to be kind of, slanted from the chest line down to the M line. So that's why I'm doing this. You can do yours however you want, okay? Do it however you want, but that's also, I'm going to be cutting out that part, and that is where my loop is going to stay. So I'm just trying to give you a visual representation on how it's going to look like. So that's why I'm just doing that. So we're going to be cutting that other part. We're going to be cutting it out. So now let us move over to the next thing. So we need the back. Okay, so for the back, I'm just coming down. I'm just doing something, it's totally optional. I'm coming down like let's say like 3 inches. Then to get that part, so I'm trying to see how to go to, I'm trying to see what is going to resonate with me. That is why I'm using a faint line first. Okay, so this is totally optional. You can use any measurement you desire. Okay, you can use any measurement you desire. For the neck width, I used 4 inches. I used 4 inches for the neck width. So you can use any measurement you desire. Okay, so now we are done with the back. So let us move over to the front. So now we need to get the curved shape that we want. So now you determine how deep you want your cleavage to be, how deep you want it to show. So for me, from the chest line, I came down by 1 inch. I came down by 1 inch. So that is where I am going to be connecting to. So that is how deep my cleavage is going to be, how deep the center part is going to be. So if you don't want it to be as deep as this, you can just come down by that cleavage line by like 1 inch, or you can just put it on just your chest line. So depending on what you're trying to achieve and what you want. So I'm trying to connect the other parts of the bust together to line up with the armhole. I'm using my hand because I feel that I'm going to get something more better. Okay, because I'm going to have freedom to move it however. So now for the center front, you can decide to just tweak it a little bit and just give it a bit of flay, a bit of change of it. So instead of having some just curved like that, you can just give it like something like a zigzag kind of effect for the center front. It is totally optional, okay? But I'm just telling you that do not limit yourself to just the normal thing. So I came down by from the side, I came in by 1 inch. Then I connected it to my neck width, okay, so to give it that queen ant shape neckline. that was what I did. So you can see that our pattern is coming to life and it's looking all good. So I'm just trying to fine tune that line, because I don't want the side to also be too deep. So I'm trying to raise that part up a bit so that it doesn't come down too much. Too much cleavage is not good. So now, if you have something as deep as this, you need to make sure that you close the side to prevent gaping. Okay, so I came up by 0.5 inch, so I'm going to be cutting that part out so as to tighten the neckline at that part, because if not, it's going to, you see that there's going to be a gaping if your neckline is too long, you understand? Okay, so you need to close that. So that was why I came up by 0.5. So these are little things that make your work look professional and less professional. So for the bust point, I came down by 1 inch for the funnel corset, and I'm just connecting everything through to the bust point. So you make sure that your line is passing through the bust point like so. So that is going to be the shape of our funnel corset. So you can see what I did. This is totally optional. You can do it however you want, but that was how I did mine, and that is what I am showing you, and it's going to come out beautifully if you follow this technique. So now we are almost done. So the next thing is to cut. So depending on the fabric that you are using, okay, so I'm going to be using a lace fabric, okay, so, and I'm going to be lining it. So if you're doing any other thing, maybe like transparent funnel corset, you know, so you know how to go about it. So the main focus of this tutorial is just the pattern drafting, and that is what I am showing you. So you should check every other tutorial if you want to see the sewing, how to join your pieces, sewing tutorial. So I already made several videos on corset and bustier, so you can go ahead to just check it out on how to join all of your pieces. That's why I said this is for advanced students, so you should know how to join your pieces together. So you can see how simple and how elegant this is. So after cutting it out, you see how beautiful it's gonna come out, and you are going to be happy that you watched this tutorial to this point. So if you got to this point and you're here to subscribe, please make sure you do so. It is very important that you subscribe so that the platform can push this to other audience. So make sure that you label your pattern as much as possible. It's very important. Label as much as possible so that you're not confused at any point, especially when you're cutting out tiny pieces like this. Okay, it's very easy for you to confuse one part. So you label the middle, you label the side, you label the center, you label the up, the down. Just label as much. I always emphasize this in all of my tutorial. Label as much as possible. There is nothing as labeling too much. It's very important, especially when you're not going to be sewing it immediately. So it's very easy for you to forget which part is which part. So make sure that you label as much as possible so that no matter when you're checking out your patterns, you are not confused on any part. So we've cut out the back, so now let us cut out the front. Just watch the way I'm going to be cutting it out and watch what I'm going to do. Remember that this is a funnel corset, so it's like slightly different from others. So just watch how I'm going to go about it. So now I always, for my for the bust that, because if you close it like this, there's going to be a difference. So that is why I always come out like 0.25, and then I'll just connect it just like the same way, just like the way I connected, just like that, you understand? So that when you close it, there's not going to be shortage. So watch what I am going to do. Watch the way I'm cutting it out. Okay. Okay, so now we have the full front with us. The next thing, I'm going to be closing the bust dart, the side dart. So you can see that the lines are not aligning together. That's why I said that when you close your dart, any part that is not aligned together, you just readjust it and you just redraw it. Remember that I mentioned that earlier. So that everything can be perfectly aligned. So I'm just redrawing the part and redrawing any part that needs to be redrawn. So cut out all of the excesses, any parts that does not fit in with what you're doing. So you just cut it out. So now we need to cut out the funnel part. So make sure that you're starting from your under bust. I'm not with my tracing wheel, so that is why I'm going through this method. Okay, so you just place your another pattern paper underneath. And then you draw out what you have from the under bust up to the upper part, up to the bust area. So you can see what I didn't be. I'm with my tracing wheel. I'll just use my tracing wheel to just trace everything out like so. So I'm not with my tracing wheel, so that is why I'm just going through this route. So you just anything from the under bust upwards, so you're going to mark it out and then you cut it out. So that is going to be the funnel part of this. So just watch carefully how I am going to go about it. This is very important, that is like the main cocoa of this whole tutorial. So you just watch what I'm doing carefully. So as you can see, we are done cutting out the funnel part, as you can see. So now the next thing is to cut out. You can see the way I tried as much as possible not to cut out any part. So I made sure that I filmed the cutting part because it can be confusing, you understand. So I'm just cutting out the dart. I'm just cutting out the remaining leg of the dart. So I'm going to do the same thing with the funnel part. And this is because I'm not with my tracing wheel. It would have been actually way easier with the tracing wheel. I would have just traced everything out at once and then just cut it out. But since I'm not with it, so that is why I'm going through this much more difficult part. So now you can see this is looking all good. The next thing is to cut out the waist tightening parts of the dart. So you just cut it out gently, just like you see me do. So that means our front, we're going to be having 3 pieces. And like I said earlier, it is actually totally optional for you if you do not want to tighten your waistline. Okay. So I'm just labeling it. Like I said, there is nothing as labeling too much. So you just label and label and label. So it's as simple as that. So now the next thing after labeling is to move on to the next thing, which is to cut out. So look at how beautiful our pattern is looking. Okay, so you just cut out the part that we drafted, that funnel part. Okay, so you just cut it out. So we don't need that part. You don't need it, so you cut out the one for the other side as well, just like you see me do. So we do not need that part at all. So this is how our pattern is going to be looking like, and that is how it's going to look like on the after sewing as well. So we are going to be putting this underneath on our bust, on our under bust. Remember that we started cutting from our under bust, so it's going to cover up the part. So look at how good and how beautiful this is looking. And that is our yoke. Okay, so this is looking all good. So you can use any fabric of your choice, and that is what I am doing. I'm going to be using the blue lace. You're going to see the outcome at the end of the day. So I'm just laying down all of the pieces together, so you can see how our pattern is looking and how yours also should come out if you follow the step that all the steps that I did. Okay, so now the next thing is for you to cut out your fabric, and then you join your pieces together. So it's as simple as that. There's nothing difficult about it. So I've gone ahead to cut out my pieces. For the sides, I added 2 inches, and for the joining part, I added 0.5 for joining allowance all around. Okay, so you go ahead and then you join all of your pieces, and that is that about that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to join this. Because it's lace, I cut out 2 pieces of lining for each. Okay, so one is going to laminate the main fabric, and one is going to serve as the main lining. So I added 1/2 inch and 2 inches for the joining of the side. So thank you so much for watching. So for the loop part, I used crepe because I can't use lace, and for the yoke, I just cut out just 1 piece each instead of there is no lining there. Okay, so it's as simple as that. You can mix this with different fabric, you can mix it with different colors. Just make sure you try it out and bring your creativity out. It's very simple. So now for those that do not want to use bra cup or breast pad, you can go through this route by fleshing your bust part. It can be actually complicated, okay, but just watch what I'm going to do. So you can put your boning before actually fleshing it. Okay, so you can put boning, do bust caging before fleshing it. Okay, so after doing your your breast caging, if you want me to do a tutorial on breast caging, just let me know. The next thing is to flesh it out so that everything is going to be plumb. You understand? It's not going to be too hard and all like that. So you use your hemming gum to fuse the fiber that we're going to be using to flesh this. This is optional and can be a bit complicated, you understand? So I'm just showing you a glimpse of how to go about it if you want to do it. So you're going to be using the hemming gum to just to flesh it. So that is that about that. So you can see how beautiful this is. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.